Did you guys know that Lele Pons, yes, this Lele Pons.
Stop bullying, okay?
Why?
Because I want to go on a date with you. Go to the test tomorrow! He's so rude. Hey, desgraciado! Are you cheating on me with these putas?
Wait, walking.
No! Buenas noches!
This Lele Pons wrote a book. And it is so bad. I went in with such low expectations and somehow it still disappointed me. I mean, even the title is obnoxious. #surviving high school, do it for the Vine, a novel by Lele Pons, and her poor, poor ghostwriter who probably got paid a packet for this, but probably regrets having any part of it. Now the book opens with a note about the book, and it reads, "This is a novel, and the character, Lele Pons, is based on the real Lele Pons, but it's not her exactly. And the stories in this book were inspired by Lele's life and her vines, but the story is made up. This is not a memoir, it's a fictional memoir, if such thing can exist. Why not? It's a confused muddle of thoughts which basically tells us that Lele is using this book as some kind of weird wish fulfillment, or like to stroke her own ego, or as just like, I don't know, a bit of a pat on the back to herself. I don't know. It's weird, is what it is. There's a trope in writing that authors often use called like using an author surrogate, in which the author inserts like a fictionalized version of themselves into their writing or their book, their story, whatever. When it's done well, which sadly is rarely, it can lead to some absolute masterpieces like Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar or Susanna Kayson's Girl Interrupted, for example. They are based on the author's real-life experiences and include essentially fictionalized versions of themselves, whether with the same name or not, whatever. Those two books in particular, there are others, wonderful, fantastic. When done badly, it is probably one of the most tragic things you can come across in fiction. In this case, as Lele's done it, it is done badly, and you end up with this angsty teen drama with self-indulgent writing. And it's like, you see the author getting off, but none of the readers do. As a reader, you don't get anything out of it. In recent years, this has become known, especially online, as a Mary Sue, and that's exactly what Lele does throughout the book. To give the Wikipedia summary of what a Mary Sue is, critics have evolved the term Mary Sue to refer to an idealized author surrogate. The term Mary Sue is thought to evoke the cliche of the adolescent author who uses writing as a vehicle for the indulgence of self-idealization rather than entertaining others. Basically what Lele did with this entire book, and it's so difficult to read, it's cringe-inducing, you just feel really awkward, yeah. Funny thing is though, Lele clearly doesn't just do it with this book, she does it with basically all her videos and every bit of content she's ever made. It's weird.
Miss Boss, I just want to say you're very beautiful lady, and
Shut up.
Anyway, let's move on to the actual prologue of the book, which was almost definitely written with no actual input from Lele, as it includes the line, "Every human being, and most animals I find, have their own unique essence. An essence comprised of deeply rooted qualities that make them who they are. Ancient Greek philosophers would refer to this as the soul." I would bet my right leg that Lele Pons has never read any philosophy, never mind anything from an ancient Greek philosopher, in her life. What do you think? I know. See, she agrees. But I am not an ancient Greek philosopher. You don't say. I am a teenage girl, and so I will call it Lele-ness. Sorry, but what the hell? Oh, I'm also like really confused by this. Is this Lele writing this? Or is this fictional Lele? Is this Lele in real life thinking she's still a teenage girl? Because trust me, she's not. Or is this Lele of the book being a teenage girl? It's confusing, it's weird. And also, what the hell is with all these like grown adults that mostly started from places like Vine and became like Instagram comedians and stuff, pretending to be teenagers or still trying to act like they're teenagers or passing themselves off as teenagers when they're not. Lele Pons is a 23-year-old woman. She's only, 3-4 years younger than me? It's kinda creepy, I'll be honest. I don't know. She does it in so many of her videos as well, like making videos about what it's like to be at school, just starting uni, all this sort of stuff, and it's like, no, you're an adult, act like it, stop pretending you're still like 17 or whatever. Sorry, rant. What do you think, Kyrouac? Yeah. See, you can act like a child, because you are a child. You're gonna be 7 next month, aren't you? I know, a little grown-up. And then the next paragraph, she actually has the potential to talk about something really interesting, right? Although, again, I don't know how true parts of it are, and it's really ruined with these cringy lines like, I mean, can you even? Which I guarantee are not going to end well at all. I did find this bit quite interesting, though, the first time I read it. We'll come to that in a minute. It is quite interesting that she talks about how, for as long as I can remember, language has been a struggle for me. Words didn't come to me as a child, so I used my body to communicate. It felt so much more natural to express myself that way. I felt comfortable drawing out my thoughts and feelings instead of verbalizing them, so I'd often draw out storyboards, sometimes 8 pages long, to explain to my parents or teachers what it was that I wanted. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. For me, artwork and movement were strengths, while speaking to others using words was a weakness. Yeah, no, I'm not going to criticize that as a sentiment. I think it's amazing that she recognizes what her strengths and weaknesses are, and it explains a hell of a lot about why her videos and her online comedy and stuff is so poorly written with such terrible stunted dialogue, and that, you know, the plots and stuff don't make sense. It explains a hell of a lot of that. But then again, I also have to ask, you know, she has so much money, why not just hire a decent writer to help her actually put those thoughts and ideas she has into something that does make sense, like she did with this book, using a ghostwriter. But anyway, it also leaves me very confused, because if you're not good with words and you want to tell a story like this with #surviving high school, why write a novel? Why choose a novel as a way to express yourself? Surely Lele would be more suited to writing a comic or a graphic novel and working with an artist on that. It just doesn't make sense to me. And that kind of screams to me that this book wasn't Lele's idea at all. It's not something she was ever passionate about. It was almost definitely just a grab for cash suggested by someone else that she put her name to. That's how it feels to me, and that's what I find very telling about this. But anyway, let's have a look at chapter 1. Just to warn you now as well, there is so much terrible stuff in this book, we're not going to get through it all today. We're looking at the first 2 chapters only, and then hopefully we can look at some other stuff in later videos. Maybe not quite in this much depth, but anyway. Chapter 1 opens with, the first thing you need to know about me is that I wasn't always the gorgeous, sexy, cool, breezy blonde you know today. I know. It's shocking. Well, even today I'm afraid I don't see you like that, but... Oh, I mean, she is blonde, but... You're right there, babe. Making your bed. You trying to get comfy? Yeah. She goes on. The truth is, it wasn't so long ago that I was an awkward outcast wearing braces and last season's clothes 2 sizes too big. No, I can hear you disagreeing. Lele has always been perfect. Well, you're right. I have always been perfect. But that's a story for another time. Let me take you back to the dark days so you can see that once upon a time my struggle was deep and my struggle was real. This isn't just me, right? This is ridiculous. I mean, way to perpetuate pathetic basic stereotypes that braces and the wrong clothing makes you a loser. I mean, yeah, you have braces, the struggle must have been so deep and real, right? You have kids out there who have parents dying, who are living in poverty, who are struggling with real issues, real illnesses. You have kids who are like, you know, full-time carers to family members who are ill. You have kids who go through like actual, like real bullying every day for no reason. You have kids living on the streets. You have kids with issues like eating disorders, drug dependencies, alcohol. Basically, kids go through a hell of a lot of issues. And Lele chooses to refer to wearing braces and clothes the wrong and clothes that are a little out of date as the dark days where her struggle was deep and real. I find it ridiculous. I don't know. I'm not one of these people who thinks that someone's problems are minimized just because someone else has it worse. Not at all. I totally understand if you go through any kind of, like, bullying or whatever. It's horrible and difficult for you, I get that. But I also think something as shallow as, oh, I wore braces, so my life was so horrible. It's a little laughable, just a little bit. I've also heard Lele was a massive bitch at school. As in, that's what she said herself, so I don't know how much of this is actually real and true, so I don't feel so bad mocking it.
Were you the popular girl in high school?
No. I was the bully. I was the least popular girl. I was in the middle. I wasn't probably the most popular girl. Senior year, because we're seniors, and I was on Vine, and social media blew up for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, there's so much of this that just doesn't make sense as well. Like, what is she even trying to say with, I wasn't always perfect? Well, yes, I was, but that's another story, but I wasn't. What? There's so much repetition and filler in these, like, first few pages, and I feel like she's half trying to do it to be funny and failing. In terms of trying to be the whole, like, oh, I'm just a cute girl who rambles kind of thing. Actually, let me interject here. As someone who constantly rambles themselves, it's not cute or funny, it's annoying. Sometimes I wish I just knew how to express myself concisely and simply, and I didn't just ramble on all the time. It means I can't express myself half as well as I'd like, and that is annoying as hell. Anyway, sorry, personal note there. The other thing is, as well as I think she's trying to be all the like, oh, I'm so cute and rambly, I think mostly she's just trying to fill space. I'll be honest. Because not a lot happens in the book. There's not a lot of story to tell. There's not a lot of good writing in it. So I think she's just trying to fill pages. Because otherwise this book would be like 50 pages long. I wish this book was 50 pages long. She goes on, see, my last school, St. Anne's School for Girls, was small. You might even say cosy, intimate. Oh, right, and Catholic. I come from a small Catholic school and a sheltered Catholic family. Until today, all I've known are the sweet familiar faces of the same 20 kids. That's 4 lines that could have very easily been expressed in about 6 words. It's unnecessary, it's filler, it's kind of boring, it's overly verbose, not to add anything or set the scene, but simply for the sake of it. Then there's more cringy hashtags inserted into the prose. Just, all this crap, and we're still only on the first page of chapter 1. Like I said, this book is not gonna age well. You think adding kind of like weird lines from memes and hashtags in is gonna work in even 2 years' time. It's not. Even now it's cringy as hell. Anyway, like I say, that's only the first page. This is all followed up by typical teenage angst, a really patronising tone while talking about her parents, and it's just a terrible, terrible, terrible message to send to the young, impressionable kids who are ultimately reading this book. I mean, listen to this bit. My parents, Anna and Louise Pons, decided abruptly and unjustly that I should move to a bigger school so I could meet more people, broaden my horizons, blah blah blah, before I go to college. Didn't anyone tell them you can get into college from any old high school, just as long as you have a dope internet presence? Welcome to the 21st century, Mum and Dad. Please take a seat. I actually hate her. But then either her or more likely her editors realised that people on the internet, like me, would rip her to shreds for that last paragraph, so she added to that, okay, I didn't mean that. Sometimes I let sassiness get the better of me. Obviously college is a good and important thing. But is it for me? I'm super eager to become an actress and would get so impatient having to put that off for an extra 4 years, so I don't know. Anyway, I'm a good Catholic girl and I respect my parents' wishes. Look, I do my best, okay? Which is how I got here. And then, of course, there's like the weird cliched bullying and name-calling which starts for honestly no reason, which I guess, yeah, can seem a hell of a lot like a real high school experience, but whatever. But she says, right away, I stand out like a sore thumb. And yes, I get the looks. You know what I'm talking about. Those evil stares kids love to give that say, ew, who the F is she? In first period English, a boy with spiky blue hair throws a crumpled ball of paper that bounces off my head. During second period, world history, a kid with a backward baseball cap calls out, hey, why'd you talk so weird? When I explain to him that I have a Venezuelan accent, he calls back, I don't know, it sounds like you just don't know how to talk. You mean speak, I say. Huh? You mean to tell me that I don't know how to speak? Grammatically, I mean. It's speak, not talk. In this context. "Oh my god, what a freak," the boy mutters to a cluster of equally jaded, pimple-faced boys who laugh and nod their heads. I swear, this would have been overdone and outdated if it was written back in the 90s. Never mind now. And the writing is just so poor and lacking the skill to integrate any kind of description into the story. So at one point, in these first few pages, she literally just starts listing things with bullet points to say, this is what I don't like about school cafeterias. It's not storytelling, it's a list. It's so bizarre. It feels lazy, it's not funny, and honestly, a lot of it is just insulting and rude. So, take her rant about dinner ladies and kitchen staff, right? And let's be honest, mostly women in those jobs, so I'm just going to refer to them as women generally. Obviously, some men do it as well, but just for ease. The women who do those jobs do not have it easy. They are working to feed and look after hundreds of hormonal, hungry, probably stressed out teenagers, usually for minimum wage. Those people deserve a hell of a lot more respect than Lele gives them here. I actually used to work as a cashier in a school canteen, and it is not a fun job, I'll be honest. Again, minimum wage. It's not pleasant. Just show them a little respect, you know? It's not difficult. But like I say, not Lele. She says in her list, lunch ladies. Mean, scowling women who seem to hate their lives and hate us for just being who we are. I am almost 100% certain that is not true. Hairnets. The lunch ladies wear hairnets that get sweaty and oily and make me think of the nets used to catch fish. I can't look at their heads without imagining fish out of water flapping around desperately for their lives. Appetite equals gone. So overdramatic, and I'm sorry, would you rather their hair gets in your food? It's a basic health and safety thing. Man up, get over it, show a little respect. And then she goes on and actually tries to tell a little bit of, like, story and plot development, and she says, with nowhere to sit and no desire to eat my food, I toss my cardboard tray in the trash and hurry outside to get some air before I have a panic attack or accidentally stab someone out of fear and confusion. Because yes, all people who have panic attacks get violent and angry. All the descriptions of authority figures in this book, whether it's teachers, staff, parents, whatever, are just absolutely ridiculous, both from a literary perspective and the perspective of being a decent human being. A teacher finds her in and out of bound areas at lunch here and asks why she's there, and Lele literally writes, God, just listen to this, right? Excuse me, why are we outside? She sounds vengeful and thirsty, like she wants to suck my blood. And what follows is the cringiest exchange. Oh my god, including this line from Lele. Good lord. I'm practically laughing at this point. The absurdity of this woman and the situation is too much to handle. I guess I'll have to start a rebellion. Seriously, I'm going to put the whole little paragraph on screen. Read it, cringe. If you need to pause the video to go vomit, please feel free to go do that. Then we get some more absolutely awful and just demeaning descriptions of teachers. It is so unnecessary. Coach Washington is this boxy-shaped woman with a bowl haircut and 2 silver teeth. Oh, and she's missing the pinky finger on her left hand. And then we get this cringy rant about pronouncing her name, which I know Lele's like gone on and on about, like, in videos and stuff in the past. I don't watch Lele's content, but I watch a lot of content about her content. I love it when commentary channels and comedy channels like react to her videos and just rip them apart. Sorry, it's like a guilty pleasure of mine watching that stuff. So we get this cringy rant about pronouncing her name, right? Washington pronounces my name like Lily, and I just absolutely have to correct her. That's the second thing you need to know about me. I can really lose it when bitches call me Lily. Some dimwits even call me Lele or Lily. Does nobody know how to read? And then this is the bit that kind of confuses me, and I'm like, I've heard her call herself Lele before. And then she says this. It's Lele, like Lele, or like, you can stand under my umbrella, Ella, A, except if you add some L's, you can stand under my umbrella, Ella, lay. What? That's Lele. But she says it's not Lele. Eh? That's how you can remember it whenever you're struggling. Lay like hay. I tried to explain this all to Coach Washington, but she quickly loses patience and moves on. I can see why. I'm with Coach Washington on this. Then they play football in class, and Lele doesn't know the rules, but she gets really into it, and she tackles a girl, and they bump heads. And then by the end of class, Lele says, my right eye is completely swollen shut, bitch gave me a black eye. Even though she's the one who tackled the other girl. It all just seems very, like, aggressive and defensive, and she's wondering why other people don't like her. She makes absolutely no effort to be nice to people, introduce herself or anything, and just assumes everyone's gonna hate her, so that's how they treat her. It's really bizarre. And now onto chapter 2, and we learn that Lele has a secret life on Vine. So this is the bit, apparently, where I think we start to see some of real life Lele's real life coming into this story. You did know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you get it. What is this Vine, you might ask? Well, maybe no one would ask that, but the truth of the matter is, I once did have to ask that. Not only did I used to be uncool, but I also used to be a social media virgin, long past the time it was normal, meaning it was 2011, and I still didn't have Facebook, or a phone. Sorry, but in 2011, Lele would have been like, what, 14? I didn't have any of those things at that age, and, I mean, she's only 3 years younger than me, like I said. It's not like we grew up in completely different generations or anything. It's so bizarre. I mean, in 2011, I did have a phone, but it was still one of those slidey things with the keyboard, you know? She goes on to talk about Vine, and we get a ton of repetition from earlier with the stuff about her struggling with words, and wanting to be physical and use images and whatever. Vine wasn't just a way to express myself. It was the outlet I'd been waiting for my whole life. For as long as I can remember, whenever I struggled with words, I used images to tell a story. I used physical communication. When I discovered Vine, I found the medium through which I would finally be able to communicate fully with the world around me, to share my thoughts and concerns with anyone who might want to listen. I finally had a voice, and I was hooked. Sorry, we're on page 28, and she's already said the same thing twice before. It is feeling redundant at this point. We also get a perfect example of how Lele's storytelling is a prime example of telling and not showing, which is the exact opposite of what a good storyteller should be doing. So again, this is something I've spoken about a lot in my poetry videos, but how you don't really want to just tell the audience what happens, you want to show them. So you don't want to say, she was feeling sad, she cried. You would want to describe it, you know, you might say, you know, she sat alone in a dark room, a storm was raging outside, you know, a tear rolled down her cheek as she hugged her legs, or as she hugged her body, like, tightly. I don't know, I'm making this up as I go along. But it's much better to show the story and have the audience picture what's happening rather than just tell them straight up, she was sad, she cried. That's boring, that's dull, no one's gonna care, no one's gonna get into it, no one's really gonna empathize with your character at all. Whereas if you show them, then they feel this deeper connection, they can picture what's happening, they can feel it themselves. It just makes it all a lot more real and engaging, you know? So instead of showing us how much she enjoys Vine, or describing her process of discovering the app, you know, maybe scrolling through it for the first time, or, you know, maybe describing her creative process, that first time she made a video, or the second time, or like whatever. You know, she could have, I don't know, she could have described like the shake in her voice when she made her first Vine, you know, her fingers hovering over the post button, flips in her stomach as she saw the first views coming in. You know, it could have been really interesting, but no, apparently that just isn't necessary. She just writes, when Lucy, a BFF from St. Anne, showed me her Vine account, I felt an instant connection. It was the first social media platform I had ever encountered that seemed to be about genuine self-expression versus only the blind desperation for social validation. And that's it. That's all there is to it. It's boring. And that's a criticism without commenting on the fact that Lele, as a person, feeling such an immense connection to probably one of the most shallow, basic apps out there, which relied on 6-second video clips. Like I say, we're not going to comment on that. So again, she continues with this theme of telling instead of showing. And instead of telling us how people made her feel bad, or what she does like about herself, or anything like that, she just tells us straight out, and it's kind of boring, you know? So, yeah, she writes this. Cut back to, I'm at Miami. Sorry, but this literally writes like the notes for her book, not the book. Sorry, anyway. Cut back to, I'm at Miami High, and nobody knows who I am. Nobody appreciates my humor and honesty and uniqueness, because I've been quickly dismissed as a freak. Would I have been so ostracized, so quickly judged if I were a boy instead? I know, acting like you are. Yeah, probably. Don't get me wrong. I like being a girl. I like my long, thick, blonde hair and wearing glamorous dresses for a fabulous occasion. But being a girl comes with a price. Well, lots of prices. Being a girl means having to put energy into your looks. Having to wear a bra, so uncomfortable. Having to sit down to pee, so inconvenient. And ultimately, it means one day having to push a bowling ball-sized human out of you and call it the miracle of life, if that's your thing. Miracle schmiracle, that sounds like a straight-up nightmare. I find her weird mix of, like, self-deprecation to try and be, like, relatable, while at the same time, like, boasting and stroking her own ego. It's this really weird mix that's very uncomfortable to read, you know. Nobody appreciates my humour and honesty and uniqueness because I've been quickly dismissed as a freak, but I like my long, thick, blonde hair and wearing glamorous dresses. It's a weird juxtaposition that doesn't feel like it's there on purpose, it just feels weirdly inconsistent, you know? Also, sorry, but being a girl means having to put energy into your look. No, it doesn't. Not if you don't want to. There's no rules to being a girl, and having to put effort into your looks isn't, like, a necessity for anyone. It's something you can do if you want to and you enjoy it, but no one has to do that stuff. It's a terrible message to send to your young, impressionable teenage audience. And I mean, you're completely forgetting about the men who put effort in too, aren't you? Also, her comments about having to wear a bra, being uncomfortable. Again, no, you don't have to wear a bra. No one's forcing you to. Do whatever you want, it's your body. But also, am I the only woman in the world who doesn't find a bra uncomfortable? I really like wearing it. I like the support, I like how it feels, I like feeling nice and covered up and supported. Like, I don't know. Chances are, if you find wearing a bra uncomfortable or sore, or it's digging in, or it's aching you or something like that, chances are you're just wearing the wrong size. Seriously, go properly get measured and fitted, and it will change your life. There you go, life lessons from me. People, go get your bras fitted properly. There you go. Anyway, back to the book, and then we get some more vapid, stereotypical rubbish with a healthy dose of insecurity and soon to be incredibly outdated colloquial language. Listen to this. For me, on morning number 2 as a Miami High outcast, being a girl means having to wake up 3 hours early to get my look on fleek. In case you don't speak my language, on fleek means on point, and on point means, like, fabulous. So anyway, I set my alarm for 5 in the morning. Brutal. And I managed to hit snooze a couple of 100 times and end up sleeping until about 7:30, which means I only have 30 minutes to get on fleek and get to school. Oh my god. If you know anything about being on fleek, you know that 30 minutes will not do the trick. Or the fleek. Huh? Words escape me. Oh my god, and then we get probably one of the most boring, shallow paragraphs of the early parts of this book about her hair. And bear in mind, this is less than a page after she'd been going on about how she loves her thick, long, blonde hair, you know. And now she's all like, ugh, it's awful, I hate it, I just want to shave it all off. Again, literally no consistency. None at all. Oh god, my hair. My hair is long, 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 long. If it were any longer, I would be Rapunzel, I swear. And sure, long blonde hair sounds nice. It might even sound enviable. But I am telling you, it is the hair from hell. I hate this, like, boast veiled as a complaint. This kind of stuff just rubs me the wrong way. Anyway. No matter what I do, I wake up with it in complete disarray. Knots and tangles and kinks and frizz. It's a daily battle. A struggle of good versus evil. Me in the bathroom using a comb to wrestle my hair like a dragon. Do dragons wrestle? I don't know. As soon as I get my thousands of hair strands untangled and smoothed out, a bunch of them start popping up again, refusing to stay in place, rejecting the status quo of hair, rebelling against their oppressor, going against the grain like a bunch of whiny hippies. A little bit offensive, maybe. Sometimes I think I should just shave it all off. Oh, Lele, after reading this, I wish you would. Then Lele goes downstairs and is rude to her parents again, and gets to school, and she's introduced to another new kid. And we learn Lele has very low standards for what she finds attractive in a man. Lele is also new, Mr. Contreras? Yeah, Contreras. We'll go with that. Lele is also new, Mr. Contreras says, and my ears get instantly hot. You can sit next to her. Lele, raise your hands, please, for Mr. Cooper, I'm guessing that's pronounced. I raise my hand, certain I look like an outright baboon, and gorgeous Alexei finds me straight away. He must be super smart. Because identifying the one person sticking their hand way up in the air in a room full of 30 students makes you super smart. This guy is basically Einstein, that he can see a hand in a sea of non-hands. And then this is where things really start to get bad, because we get the first example of Lele using her cringy, clumsy equals funny style of comedy. And this is repeated so much throughout the book. It's a trend in Lele's videos, and it's a trend in the book, and it doesn't work. It's not funny, it's not creative, it's just really awkward and cringy to read. It's, oh my god. And the fact that she uses it so much and relies on it like a crutch, it's really bad. Like I say, it's bad in videos, it's even more awkward and just not plain funny in writing. Leaving class, I trip over his backpack and crash straight into him, bumping my lip on his shoulder. His t-shirt gets caught in my braces and untangle it becomes this whole thing. So much for that romantic, flirty moment. He's nice about it, helps me get to my feet and all, but not soon enough to prevent everyone from noticing. I genuinely did not think this book could be this bad, but here we are. Then some girls write a really tame insult on her locker, and I get that that can be upsetting. I'm not trying to minimize that at all. But this new guy, this Alexei that she has a crush on, who, up to this point she's spoken literally 2 sentences to before this point, comes over to talk to her. She basically insults him, he sucks it up, because unlike her, he's a decent human being. And then he goes on to talk about how she's totally not like the other girls, because, those 2 sentences she said before and falling into him, he knows everything about her now. They have this deep connection, because this is teen literature. I don't get it. You're new too. Why aren't you getting picked on? Maybe because he's not a douche, whatever. I'm normal. I fit in. Kids are insecure and they lash out at whoever is the most different, he shrugs. It's not fair. Are you saying you prefer that I get picked on? No, I just don't know what it is about me. I guess I never thought of myself as that different, and I guess I prefer not to go through it alone. You're not different. You're just a free spirit. You don't care as much about what people think, and that makes them nervous. And you're not going through it alone. I'm here. I got your back. And at this point in the book, I took a short break to vomit, so if you'd like to go do that now, feel free. She gets really awkward with him, and then he responds with, I'm just messing with you, weirdo. Let's go, yeah? He smiled. Weirdo. He already has a pet name for me. Heart eyes emoji. Heart eyes emoji. Yeah. She literally wrote those words. Heart eyes emoji. Twice. Please? Feel free to pause the video and go vomit again. I'm sure at this point it will just be dry heaving, but please, get it all out. Remember, heart eyes emoji. Heart eyes emoji. Instead of describing their walk home from school, Lele just tells us about it straight out. We have the best conversation on the way home. Yeah, because we don't need to hear it. We just need to know that it's the best conversation. Writing that conversation out, making that up, that would be too difficult. We have the best conversation on the way home. Him with his sexy foreign accent, and me with my garbled Venezuelan undertones. We talk about really deep stuff, like last week's episode of So You Think You Can Dance and the Red Wedding on Game of Thrones. He so obviously... He so obviously gets me. He asks about my hopes and dreams, and I tell him all about how I want to be a famous actress, but the idea of auditioning in front of the producers gives him a panic attack. I ask him about his hopes and dreams, and he tells me about how he wants to be a model, or a professional surfer, and maybe an actor too, but if that doesn't work out, then maybe a doctor. I genuinely cannot tell if this is meant to be sarcasm and satire, or if it's serious. Please let this be satire, please. But I don't know if Lele Pons is smart enough to do that. Oh my god. It gets even cringier, right? On the walk home, the guy casually mentions, oh, it's hot today. And then he just whips off his shirt in the street. Like, that's a normal thing people do. And then he just goes and pees against a tree. In the street. This is just one long, cringy YouTube skit in novel format, and it's so bad. Oh my god, yeah. Okay. with this, at this point, we are at the end of chapter 2, and that is where we're going to end this video, because like I say, there is so much bad stuff in this book. We're like 40 pages in, and it's already this terrible, and nothing has happened, really. If you would like me to review the rest of this book in another video, or maybe 2, I don't know, like, I'll try and make the next one a little bit less in-depth, or more if you want it. I don't know. Let me know what you want down in the comments below. And if you'd like a part 2, don't forget to leave a like on this video so I can see that and know that and get some feedback. If you're new here, please subscribe. That would be amazing. I also have Patreon and merch store. Go follow me on Instagram if you like, if you want. I don't know. Thank you for watching today. I appreciate you guys so much. And I will hopefully see you again very, very soon.